Formula One is a world of speed, precision, and sometimes rules changes driven by the actions of its star drivers. Have you ever wondered how the maneuvers of F1 legends like Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, and Michael Schumacher have forced the sport's governing body, the FIA, to modify the rules? These rule changes aren't just about keeping the sport fair. They also touch on safety, sportsmanship, and even celebrations. So what did these drivers do to make the FIA rethink the regulations? How did their actions shape the future of Formula One? Let's dive into some intriguing instances where F1 drivers pushed the boundaries and forced rule changes. In the high-octane world of Formula One, it's not just about speed and skill. It's also about the rules of the game. Sometimes the actions of F1 drivers force those rules to be rewritten. Our journey begins with Max Verstappen, the young sensation who made a big splash early in his F1 career. In the 2016 Japanese Grand Prix, he pulled off a daring move against Lewis Hamilton. It was a move so aggressive that it stopped Hamilton from overtaking. Mercedes, Hamilton's team, was not too pleased, and they voiced their frustration. Verstappen, however, defended his actions, claiming they were within the rules because he hadn't been penalized. But here's where it gets interesting. Other drivers chimed in too, expressing their displeasure with such moves. The FIA, F1's governing body, couldn't ignore the growing chorus of concerns. So, what did they do? The FIA decided to rewrite the rulebook. They introduced a new rule stating that any moves made during braking, which required a driver behind to change direction significantly, would be investigated. This rule, born out of Verstappen's daring maneuvers, even earned itself a nickname, the Verstappen Rule. Quite a way to leave your mark in the sport, wouldn't you say? But wait, there's more to this season of rule changes in Formula One. The FIA decided to crack down on radio communication between teams and drivers, concerned that the pit wall engineers were giving too much guidance. This rule change raised eyebrows, especially when Nico Rosberg encountered a gearbox issue just 6 laps from the finish line at the British Grand Prix. Rosberg's W07 found itself stuck in 7th gear, and he radioed his Mercedes team for help. But due to the new radio communication restrictions, the team couldn't provide detailed instructions as before. They suggested Rosberg find another setting, and advised him to avoid using 7th gear. This incident triggered a debate about whether the radio rule was helping or hurting the sport. In that same season, an incident involving Nico Rosberg shed light on the radio communication rule. Rosberg faced a gearbox problem at the British Grand Prix, and he asked Mercedes' team for guidance. However, due to the new restrictions, the team couldn't provide detailed instructions. When Rosberg inquired about shifting gears, he promptly received a reply: yes, shift to 8th gear quickly. Unfortunately, this exchange was seen as a violation of the rules, resulting in a penalty. Rosberg not only lost his second position in the race, but also saw his championship lead over Hamilton shrink to just 1 point. Interestingly, this radio ban rule was later revisited and lifted after Mercedes and McLaren's Jenson Button questioned the incident. While the rule was initially meant to reduce assistance from the pit wall, another rule introduced in 2021 had a significant impact on Red Bull. This new rule set a limit on the speed at which different parts of a pit stop could be completed, ensuring that certain actions couldn't happen faster than 0.15 seconds. Red Bull, known for their swift pit stops, didn't take kindly to this rule. Helmut Marko, an advisor to Red Bull, even suggested that Mercedes might have had a hand in this rule change, accusing them of trying to slow down the competition. Mercedes' team principal, Toto Wolff, defended his team against these suspicions, stating that they had inquired with the FIA about a safety mechanism related to a system they were using. He questioned whether this inquiry triggered the rule change, but remained uncertain about the connection. Red Bull had objections to rule changes, especially regarding pit stops. However, they faced a different scenario when the FIA introduced another rule due to Max Verstappen's actions. Verstappen had a habit of positioning his car alongside rivals just before the safety car restarted, a risky maneuver. The FIA then clarified rules forbidding such moves before restarts. This marked one of Verstappen's rule influences. Remarkably, Max Verstappen also holds a unique record. He made his official Grand Prix debut just 3 days after turning 17, prompting the FIA to raise the age limit to 18. If unchanged, he remains the youngest driver to debut in Formula One. Verstappen's rule-changing legacy echoes that of Ayrton Senna, who also influenced a significant rule change in the sport's history. In 1988, the Formula One world witnessed a fierce competition between two legends, Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna, who happened to be teammates at McLaren. Prost secured 7 race victories, amassing 105 points, yet astonishingly, he lost the championship to Senna. Despite Senna winning 8 races, he only gathered 94 points. This peculiar situation arose due to the sport's scoring system back then. It only considered the top 11 race results for the championship, creating controversy. This scoring system, with its anomalies, continued until it was eventually abandoned. Ayrton Senna clinched the title in 1990, marking the end of this particular era. Fast forward to the present day, where Lewis Hamilton made his mark by influencing significant rule changes. In 2022, he raised safety concerns regarding strict regulations that require drivers to wear compliant undergarments and prohibit jewelry beneath their flame-proof racing suits. Hamilton, who had worn jewelry for years, experienced an infection after complying with the new rules. With a doctor's letter supporting his case, Hamilton advocated for an exemption, which was granted. But Hamilton's impact on the sport didn't end there. He also played a pivotal role in bringing about rule changes that affected all Formula One teams during the 2022 season, demonstrating his influence on the sport's evolving regulations. The FIA, Formula One's governing body, focused its attention on enhancing the downforce of all F1 cars. However, this emphasis on downforce unintentionally led to a problem known as porpoising. This issue became so severe that even Lewis Hamilton required assistance to exit his car after suffering a back injury during the Baku race. Other drivers like Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris also voiced their concerns about the problem. Now here's where things got interesting. According to the FIA's rules, any changes to regulations require the support of at least 8 out of the 10 teams. However, Hamilton's discomfort pushed the FIA to step in. They became concerned about the physical strain caused by porpoising, prompting a mid-season rule change. However, this move didn't sit well with many teams and drivers. They felt it was unfair and opposed a sudden alteration of rules. For instance, Carlos Sainz commented that while he wasn't sure about the data analyzed, he believed it wasn't the same issue for everyone. Max Verstappen was even more critical, placing the blame on Hamilton and Mercedes for the porpoising problem. He expressed disappointment in the mid-season rule change, suggesting that if a team couldn't design their car properly, it shouldn't lead to rule adjustments. But the FIA defended its decision, stating that it was primarily driven by safety concerns rather than reacting to Mercedes' complaints. While Hamilton's condition in Baku played a part, safety remained the paramount reason for implementing the rule change. Formula One has strict rules when it comes to driver celebrations. These celebrations must meet specific conditions. They should be safe, not endanger others on the track, not question the legality of the winning car, and not cause delays during the podium ceremony. So now, let's dive into an interesting incident involving Max Verstappen and his celebration after winning the 2021 Styrian Grand Prix. Surprisingly, Verstappen's burnout celebration didn't violate any of these conditions. However, things took a turn when Michael Massey, F1's race director at the time, made a firm statement that such burnout celebrations would no longer be tolerated. Even though Verstappen's move technically didn't break any rules, it raised questions about the limits of rule stretching in F1. But Verstappen isn't the only driver who has pushed the boundaries of F1 rules. Take Michael Schumacher, for instance, who came out of retirement to compete for Mercedes in 2011. In a thrilling race at Monza, Schumacher engaged in a fierce battle with McLaren's Lewis Hamilton for a whopping 30 laps. Schumacher's defensive maneuvers, including multiple changes in direction, forced Hamilton to take dramatic actions, even jumping onto the grass. Surprisingly, Schumacher's aggressive driving was within the limits of the existing rules. This left Hamilton fuming and led to an FIA review of the incident. As a result, the FIA clarified the rules. A driver could leave the racing line and return, but must leave enough space for another car, and a driver could only make one change of direction. Hamilton has had his fair share of critics too. Some drivers have openly expressed their disapproval. One driver labeled him an idiot, while others suggested that Hamilton still didn't know how to drive properly. These varying opinions make for an intriguing aspect of the F1 world, how different drivers view and interact with one another, both on and off the track. So, what are your views on this? please do let us know in the comments below. And for more great videos, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.